introduce you to Dr. Joe Griffin, a speaker, consultant, and author's intention is teaching and talk is to broaden their vision, the things they weren't taught when they brought up as children. Reach for the top, regardless of situations, predicaments, or your conditions. He's making history all of the districts, increasing retention from teachers, 50 to 80%. That ain't all that you hear me. He is the mentor. He paved the way with his dip methodology, really. Dream, be persistent, face fears, seek change, go out and go get it. This what you learning with Dr. Joe Griffin. With Dr. Joe Griffin, yeah. He says recognize trauma, push past the pain. If you got a problem, go look at his frame. Work your perspective and look at it change. Find a goal, set it in critical thing. Manage time, self-awareness. These are the few of the things he's trying to get you to do every day. Do every day. Led 5 schools to increase test scores with his teacher principal collaboration. Things he gives to you will have you take you drive to the next level. But first, you need to get some fuel at gas station. Supporting education leaders, creating a culture for kids that'll last for ages. Lack of access to quality professional development, that's outrageous. Got his doctorate in education. Leadership, research, make changes. Need to put the kids first and raise them. Need to teach them they worth, stop playing. Later on, they gon' run this nation. Dr. Joe with his dissertation taught to those who would fix, make changes. I introduce you to Dr. Joe Griffin, a speaker, consultant, and author's intentions. The teaching and talk is to broaden their vision, the things they weren't taught when they brought up as children. Reach for the top, regardless of situations, predicaments, or your conditions. He's making history all of the districts, increasing retention from teachers, 50 to 80%. They ain't all that you hear me. He is the mentor. He paved the way with his dip methodology, really. Dream, be persistent, face fears, seek change, go out and go get it. This what you learning with Dr. Joe Griffin. With Dr. Joe Griffin.
Power Zone, you all. Week 54, volume 2, number 12 today, you all. It's a great day. Definitely thank you all for coming into the stream. As you start to come in, definitely stream in. Let us know where you're calling in from. Definitely crucial as we get off to a great start today, you all. Can't thank you enough for continuing to check in. Like I said, we've at week 54. So we've got a great professional development lined up for you again today. As always, we provide impact, we provide value, we talk about educational trends, professional development, personal and professional development, and we provide solutions to help you with school improvement, because we know that we all need to improve and we want to continue in that line of work. It was a very, very terrible weekend for the state of Mississippi, you all. As you know, we do this work nationally as global consultant, but Mississippi is definitely my home state, and we definitely have a great superintendent from Mississippi with us today. But before we get into our conversation, into our professional development, there were a number of incidents across the state this weekend that were just tragic. They were tragic. Homecoming events afterwards, mostly at games or what have you. Definitely have to personally shout out Heidelberg High School, Heidelberg, Mississippi. Served as principal down there for 3 years. We moved Heidelberg from worst 15 in the state to success for over 3 years. We moved up 65 QDI points at Heidelberg. So I have a big, fun place in my heart for Heidelberg, Mississippi. Leland, also heart of the Delta. I'm from the Mississippi Delta, so definitely I have great connections in that area as well. Definitely want to continue to send prayers their way also. And of course, Jackson State had an incident. And as you know, I'm a Belhaven graduate, but my family is heavily rooted in Jackson State traditions. My mother and my father both, they started it. My sister, she's a Jackson State graduate as well. Cousins that have been at Jackson State for years and things of that nature. So all of that matters. And of course, Alcorn, don't have quite as strong ties to Alcorn, but I still feel for many of my friends have graduated from there, many colleagues, people that I work with, and just want to take a moment, 5 seconds of your time to have a moment of silence for the particular tragedies that occur not only in Mississippi, but across the nation also. But Those are most prevalent right now. So 5-second moment of silence, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. As you start to come in, also make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share out. Definitely helps with the algorithms. So I definitely ask you to please like, comment, subscribe. Definitely thank you for all of that. I do want to also note I will be changing to Saturdays at this same time in a couple of weeks. So I'll make sure to get that announcement out as well so that it can be loud and clear, because we've been really enjoying you guys being here with us. I can't thank you enough for coming out every week, participating, watching, giving your comments, collaborating with us, because we can't do it alone. And that's the most important part about it. So as always, before we get ready to bring out our guests, I do have a prelude. I always like to give you a prelude, a quick word before we get started. And one of the things that's on my heart is you can wait until it's perfect, or you can do it until you perfect it. I'm going to let that sink in for a moment, and then we're going to talk real quickly about what that is, what that looks like, what that means. You can wait until it's perfect, or you can do it until you perfect it. So many times we just plan. We have the perfect plan in place for all of those things that we want to accomplish, those things that we know we're going to do, those things that we plan to enact. But so many times those plans become procrastination. You say, Dr. Joe, what do you mean? How do plans become procrastination if I'm actively planning? Because I'm saying what I'm going to do. I'm thinking about all the things that could possibly happen. I'm looking for every ill will that could come my way and how I'm going to instead make it out into a success. But guess what? I hadn't done anything yet. Because that plan, I'm trying to make it perfect. How many of you all have been victims of wanting to have something perfect and the perfect opportunity passed because you were trying to make it that way? Yeah. Well, I come to talk to you this day because you need to hear this, because so many times we've been planning to make this stuff perfect. Well, first off, it'll never be perfect, but we can still work to perfect it, right? We can still be excellent in what we put out, in what we do, but it can't be great if we don't start. So you got to start in order to make it great. You can't wait until it's perfect. You got to do it until you perfect it. You don't let preparation be your enemy. You let it be your friend. See, I'm planning, of course, because I see the vision. And many times we have a vision that no one else can see, but we still have to put that vision to work. We can plan it forever. We can listen to every professional development, but if we never actually implement those stations, if we never actually look up and find out what reciprocal teaching is and what it does for our school community and how it raises test scores, lives, changes the trajectory of our students' futures, if we never look at it and actually do it, what's the use of it? You're just spinning your wheels. Yeah. You might get mad at me today, but hey, I'm at the point where I don't care, right? I'm at the point where I've got to walk in this gift that God has given me. So to understand that, I know that I've got to be constantly in action. I can't allow the planning to mistake me. Meaning that if I've got 30 articles that I'm preparing to write, but I hadn't written them, what's the use of it? If I've got 3 professional developments planned for my teachers, but I'm scared to pull the trigger, I'm scared to give them what they need, or maybe I'm not scared, I just don't let it do, and the opportunity slips through the crack. And now I've fallen back because I didn't take advantage of what I should have taken advantage of. Yeah, you can wait until it's perfect, or you can do it until you perfect it. You better get off your hind parts, you all. Let's put this thing into action. Let's go with it. Let's do what we have to do to make all of our educational community successful, our home lives successful, everything that we involved in, what we dealing in. You can wait until it's perfect, or you can do it until you perfect it. Woo! I hope y'all feeling me today. Definitely want to. Hello, Miss Sheila Polk. Definitely great to have you. Thanks for chiming in. We great to have you today. And as we prepare to bring out our guests, I want to first off let me bring her out. Then I'll tell you a little bit about her.
Hello there.
Great afternoon, Dr. Payton.
Hey, how are you?
I am well. Thank you for joining the Empowerment Zone live stream today. It's week 54, and I'm proud and happy to have you as a guest on the platform. I want to properly say a little bit about your bio. I plugged a couple of them together, so it won't be read perfect, but they're going to definitely know who you are.
Sounds good.
Yes, indeed. Dr. Caterria Payton is the superintendent of the Pascagoula Goshen School District. And in her acceptance, she said it's absolutely an honor to do this role. She started 25 years ago in the same district as an assistant teacher when she just moved to the coast, and that's the Mississippi coast from New Orleans. So she started as an assistant teacher and worked every role from assistant teacher to now superintendent. As the former principal of Pascagoula High School, she was named Administrator of the Year for the state. For Dr. Payton, it's more than accolades that's driving her. It's every student and family in the district. In fact, all three of her children are Pascagoula Goshen School District graduates, and two of her grandchildren are now in classrooms. So there's not a person who believes in their district more than Dr. Caterria Payton. And with that, I want to say hello, Dr. Payton. Thank you much for joining us.
Thank you again for having me, Dr. Griffin.
Definitely. And I failed to mention in the introduction that you also, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're the first Black superintendent of the district also.
Yes, sir, that is correct. First Black and first female.
All right. That's right. And yes, that's definitely good stuff. So, and I didn't say the female part because you know how sometimes people talk about minimizing the accolade or what have you, but I definitely know that that's very, very important also. So, thank you for your service.
Mm-hmm.
And today's topic, we're talking about leadership that responds, responsive leadership, ensuring that all students get what they need. And just in your initial part of the discussion, just kind of tell us what is your perspective of leadership and what that looks like for you as the superintendent now.
Okay. As you stated, I started in Pascagoula Goshen School District 25 years ago as an assistant principal. But what drove me to education is I grew up in New Orleans in the Calliope Housing Project, Third Ward, Calliope. I bet you if you put Third Ward and the Delta in the alley, Third Ward's coming out, Dr. Griffin. I don't know. Yes, but Third Ward Calliope Projects in New Orleans, Louisiana, one of the worst housing projects in New Orleans. And my teachers are who created, my teachers and my principals are who created Dr. Payton. There would not be a Dr. Payton if it weren't for my teachers and principals wrapping around me. So, in becoming an educator, I just wanted to pay forward with what was done for me. And along our journey, our why changes. I will say that my why, when I began in education, was to do for students what was done for me. as a teacher in the teacher role or an assistant teacher role. And while my students are in my forefront, my why has evolved to the adults because I'm no longer hands on with students as much as I would like to be. But the adults who work with me are hands on with students. So it's my job to set the culture, to set to provide opportunities and resources and knowledge for teachers and administrators to give not only what I gave, but more. I want them to be better than Dr. Payton was. I think I was great. I was Administrator of the Year, teach, I think twice. I was Administrator of the Year twice,
Okay.
twice for the district, Administrator of the Year once for the state. I did all the things raised. I was at Jackson Elementary. We went from failing to an A school district. That was Central Elementary. Jackson Elementary had every reason to not be successful. All the 90% free and reduced lunch, 90% minority, and I forget what the other 90 is because I'm on the spot right now.
Mm-hmm.
But every reason not to be successful. But Jackson Elementary remains successful, a B school, and it's an A school today. Pascagoula High School, when I got there, was struggling. Was a B school, almost a C school. And when we got there, we did some things, and we became an A school, which resulted in our school district being an A district for the very first time. And we have maintained that A until I was sharing with Dr. Griffin earlier that we kind of dropped a little bit to a B, but we're good. We're good. We'll have that A again next year. But just my job as a leader is to set the conditions for everyone in the school district, from the students to the custodians to the teachers to the administrators, to be successful.
Awesome, awesome. And I definitely applaud what you've done as well, being able to be, I guess we were cross county rivals,
Yes,
when I was at Moss Point High School, what have you. So I definitely saw the work that you put in. I saw you actually raise that school from a B to an A, although it was from across county, and that helped to continue to push everyone within that same county, because people have a little competition thing down there on the
absolutely.
coast where you
Yes,
are. So
yes.
definitely keep up that great work. I heard you talk about how you want to empower the students as well as the teachers. And of course, with us being in the empowerment zone, that's definitely something I want to touch back on. When you talk about empowering teachers so that they can serve students, what does that look like? What type of activities or strategies are you using to ensure that students feel empowered enough to teach our students?
Okay. And I know this is a word that's overly used nowadays, but it is relationships, relationships, relationships. Getting to the teachers, meeting them where they are, and taking them where they need to go. Because it's no longer about what I can do. I can't get in the classroom and do it for them. It's more about what I can inspire them to do, what I can insist them to do, what I can set the conditions for them to do. So being in the classrooms face to face with teachers and having conversations that are other than what's going on in the classroom, getting to know them on a personal level and their family members. Talking to them outside of school. If you notice, I'm on Facebook, and a lot of my teachers, we carry on Facebook about things that has nothing to do with education. But a lot of times that takes off the Dr. Payton, and they see me as a person. And when I'm talking to leaders or training leaders, I always ask, do people come to you with the hard things? Are you approachable? Do they come to you with hard things? And if the answer is no, you're not doing your job. So not only do you build relationships, you make sure do whatever you can to build the capacity in each teacher. And that looks different for every teacher, every administrator. Be it provide training through yourself, through mentorship and assistance, or training from outside the school, bringing individuals in or sending those individuals out. And again, that looks different for every teacher and every administrator. If we are doing the whole, everyone gets the same thing, we're missing the mark. We're
Yeah,
missing the mark.
yeah. That's powerful right there. Definitely missing the park if everyone is doing the same thing or getting the same thing. We got to make sure we're fair, because everyone doesn't need the same things.
Yeah, that's right.
And I heard you mention your approach, and that's one of the things that I actually posted this week in social media was if your leadership is not uplifting others, you
That's
need to
right.
change your
You do.
approach
Mm-hmm.
and put dip approach on it because that's one of the key principles within the dip approach. Discipline culture plus instruction practice equals performance. And that means so much because we have to constantly be aware of that because we go about our day-to-day business. We say we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. We hope that everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing also. And we forget that a little uplifting will
Yes.
ensure or
Yes.
have a bigger probability or kick in even stronger to help make that accountability piece be real where people will actually do what they're supposed to do. So lifting people up is not just wordage, it's not just verbiage, it's not just language. It's something that you have to live, something you got to believe in, it's something that you should actually practice.
That's right.
And I thank you for mentioning that. I know that the state has gone through some accountability model changes. Some would call them upgrades. Some of them might call them some other word. Uh, how do you see those particular changes in perspective? Meaning, what you feel about it, and how does that impact what you would do or how you get it done?
Well, a lot of the changes that are happening now, the proposed changes, it's going to take away a lot of the growth proponent, and a lot of districts depend on growth because we say, I mean, they may not be proficient, but we can grow a child at least a year's worth of academic improvements in a year. We should be able to. I like that. I love growth, and I love the fact that we should grow children. But sometimes I think we use that as an excuse to not be proficient. That's the issue. And I always tell people if proficiency is your goal, it's you're gonna get growth. Growth is gonna happen on its own. Proficiency should be your goal. So you will see across our state that many school districts are A or B school districts, and only 30 or 40% of their kids are proficient. So I understand the state making the changes. There are some things that I don't agree with, and there will always be things that we don't agree with, but I tell people all the time, if you show me the target and give me time, I'll hit it. We'll hit it every time. Show me the target, give me time to do it, and we'll hit it every time.
Awesome. Awesome. Vision definitely requires a target. I love that because so many times we just go for goals, we set out to do things, but we don't have the target.
Yes.
We don't have the direction in place. And earlier I talked about making that action in addition to the plan. But again, you still have to have the plan also. But in order to reach that target, you got to move, you got to
That's
do, you
right.
got to commit an action verb towards making all of that happen. So great
Yes.
job of digging
Also,
into.
another note on that proficiency topic, and I think we talked about this earlier. If our goal is proficiency compared to Mississippi, compared to the nation, compared to the world, if our goal is Mississippi, I mean, it's proficiency, no matter who changes the accountability model, no matter who becomes the president, no matter who does what, our students are always going to be okay if our goal is proficiency. And that way we're not playing the game of whatever the model is. Because sometimes we get stuck in playing the game, whatever the model is, so we can get that A. And I'm guilty because I want that A and I'm going to play that game. But at the same time, we got to play that game and focus on proficiency.
Definitely, yeah. You can
Yes.
definitely master that accountability model the way it's set up. If you know
Yes.
it, you learn it, and know
Absolutely.
the ins and outs of it. I had mastered that thing as well, so
Yes. Yes.
I definitely know that language that you're talking about. Now, one of the things that I kind of want to touch back on, and this is like so motivational on many different levels. You started out as an assistant teacher, and you have risen through the ranks. Uh, every role within the organization you basically have done or are doing currently. So with that in mind, how would you say that trajectory of your career has informed your practices and what you are doing and what you will continue to do now?
I will tell you, I think I make it look a lot easier than it is. And I'll just say life for me ain't been no crystal stair. I'll say that I started in Pascagoula Gaucher School District in whatever 25 years ago, 1998, 1999. And believe it or not, they were just now making changes because of some of our schools were, we don't want to say the word, but they were segregated. Some of our elementary schools were a little bit segregated, and they were making some changes on just to make sure that all of our students had the same opportunities, just put it that way. So that was 98, 99. Believe it or not, that's what we were doing. And when I became a teacher, I was one of the only African American teachers in my school. I was the only African American, one of the only in the district, but I was the only African American teacher in my school. So what I knew I had to do was have a seat at the table, because you can't pull the chair out for anyone else if you don't have a seat at the table yourself. So it worked and made sure that I had a seat at the table, and then I began pulling the chair out for others as they came along. So moving from teacher to lead teacher to principal, same thing. And being intentional about meeting people, making relationships, and recruiting for your school and district. And this was before I was superintendent. Recruiting for your school and district. Well, you should come to Pascagoula Gaucher because we do this and we do that. And now, 25 years later, I'm just thinking of our administrators. Most of them are minority administrators. Most of them are minority administrators, and we have a good bit. I don't have the percentage rate, but we have a lot of minority teachers. And it started. My children joke talking about calling me Rosa Parks and Harriet Tubman of school district and all the things. I mean, we joke about that, but it's somewhat true, because at many times I was the only person on the interview committee who looked like me, and the only person who had to step up when someone said, "Oh, those braids are not professional," or her grammar wasn't that great, and then I had to step up and speak professionally, of course, and speak and advocate for people in order to open doors and pull out chairs for other people.
That is powerful, powerful, powerful conversation right there. You said that you had to create a seat at the table. That's powerful. And that's not as easy as it sounds. And we've got people that are looking, we've got people that are watching, that are listening to us. When we talk about creating a seat at the table, how does that play out? How is that accomplished? How do you create a seat at the table? Because I'm sure there are a lot of not only women, but also men who are going to see this and hear about your rise from assistant teacher to lead teacher to principal. And you left out assistant superintendent to
Yes,
superintendent.
absolutely.
But also
Yeah.
to that, what would you say on creating a seat at the table?
Being mindful of how you show up yourself, how you show up, because it's always been said that a lot of times we have to work 10 as minorities, we have to work 10 times harder to get something that someone else. Unfortunately, in so many ways, that's true. But no one can take anything from you that you have earned. No
Yeah.
one can take anything from you that you have earned. So dress well, speak well, be on time, work harder than anyone else in your organization. That's how you show up, and that's how you build credibility, or street credit, as we call it, credibility among other people who probably thought, where is she coming from, or what is she doing? But you got to build that credibility. We can't walk in. Sometimes we think we walk in places with instant credibility. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. It may work that way for some, but unfortunately, it doesn't work that way for all.
Right.
So
Right.
just do the things that you know to do, uh, to build that credibility.
Yeah. Definitely. Thank you for that. And we all need to hear that sometimes, because we think that things are supposed to go how we want them to go. They're supposed to move at the speed that we want them to work at. But the truth of the matter is, number one, there's a higher power that's in control, but
That's right.
also you got to work around the variables and circumstances that are earthly. We have a lot of earthly circumstances that can prevent or hinder or hold you up from getting to those places. But the idea is not to quit, but to pivot, to find a
Yes.
different way, to find another way to make work. Just like we do in education, the same principles apply to real life. That's why I always, like in my preludes when I'm talking, like that piece was for educators, but same thing about it. Anyone listening can listen to that, move on it for principles within their own life, because the things we do as educators also apply to our real life. So again, thank you
Yes,
for
Dr. Griffin, and I'll just add to that. A lot of people see Dr. Payton, superintendent, but they don't understand the no's I got. You may know because we were colleagues at the time before I got a yes. When I was principal at Pascagoula High School, our previous superintendent, who had been there 20 something years, left. So of course I applied for his position because I knew I was qualified. I had K-12 experience and all the things. And I applied and did not get selected for the job. And they picked someone else from some another area of our state to come in. But instead of being upset, and I had all of my friends and people who care about me saying, "You're more qualified than him, you're more this, you're more that." And I knew they were doing it in love, but I had to know who I am. I had to focus on what I was doing. So I went back to Pascagoula High School and put my head down and finished working. And the next thing that happened is that superintendent, and we've become really, really good friends now, that superintendent needed an assistant superintendent. I applied for that and wasn't selected. I wasn't selected. And I heard, well, if we pick her to be assistant superintendent, who's going to take Pascagoula High School? Pascagoula High School needs her. She's done so well. What are they going to do? Who's going to do that? So I wasn't selected to be assistant superintendent. Went back to Pascagoula High School again and continued to work. So when the assistant superintendent position came up again, I, I, I don't know if I was going to apply. I was a little bit hurt. What? I don't know if I was going to apply. Didn't have to because it was offered to me. Didn't even have to apply. The assistant superintendent position was offered to me. 3 years later, the other superintendent has moved out of the country, and here I am, superintendent. All of that had to happen to prepare me for today. If I had taken the superintendency 6 years ago, I don't know that I would have been as good of a superintendent as I am today. So it is okay. Nobody can take away from you what God intends for you to have.
great story of resilience, staying the course, as well, which is also one of our key points. And you just touched on staying the course, being resilient, maintaining yourself through it all. And another thing that I pulled out of that, and I hope the viewers, whenever they watch it, whether it's now or whether they pick it up later, but you mentioned that, and you didn't say it like this, but what I took from it is that leadership also is followership.
That's
You
right.
could have easily been negative in that situation. You could
Yes,
have been a backbiter. You could have
absolutely.
done different. You could have had different modes of operation, but because, as you mentioned, you stayed true to yourself, who you are, you didn't change things up, and you continue to do what you needed to do. The school district came back and saw that in you and awarded you with the superintendent job that you had ultimately already earned. So
Mhm.
again, I want to applaud you for that, because again, that's not easy to do. That takes
That's
a lot
right.
of character to be able to do that. So that's awesome, good stuff, and it definitely has worked out.
Yes.
What would you say as you move forward? And I'm sure you've already and continue to dive into the data for your district. What are some key implementations that can help drive not only your district but any school district forward? And um, how does how do those implementations look?
Again, a focus on literacy. Focus on literacy. Right now, we're currently working on a district-wide pre-K through 12th grade literacy plan. Because if our students are strong readers, again, there's not an assessment that exists that they can't do well in with. So we're focusing on a district-wide literacy plan. Also, building student level accountability, making students accountable for their actions, but also accountable for the things that go on in the district. We changed our strategic plan. Students, it was student driven. We had students there driving it. When an issue comes up in the district, we ask our student advisory. So they are a part of driving the district. So not only are the teachers and principals and community working together, our students are a part of driving the district. And it's more likely for them to want to, when they graduate, come back because this is a part of something, this is something that they helped build. So just student level accountability as well. And again, pouring as much into your teachers and administrators. And I know we talk about feed the teachers, but someone has to feed those administrators as well. Don't forget the administrators because they carry the heaviest burden. And I say all the time, your high school principal is the hardest working person in your school district. So we have to make sure that our administrators are okay so they can make sure that everyone else is okay.
Definitely agree with that. Got to make sure your educators are well so that they can push wellness through your
That's
school.
right. That's right.
It's hard to think that educators can be their best selves, do their best for students, teach at their highest levels when they aren't socially, emotionally well. It
Mhm.
just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. I could never understand. I would go to meetings as a principal, and some of the leaders would come in just talking about how divided their staff was, me against them, us against me, or our team against theirs, and that kind of thing. And they were literally okay with it. In that type of environment, how do you expect to get great results and you're living in a toxic manner?
That's right. That's right.
And that's really how a lot of the theory of discipline culture came about. I saw those things as a young principal, and of course, discipline culture, that's the collective way in which teachers and administrators work together to handle the issues, all issues. So, seeing that as a young administrator, and hearing those type of comments from principals, from assistant principals in real administrative meetings, it set me on a different path. And especially with my background in teams, I knew that was not going to play out for the type of program that I wanted to be a leader of. So
Yeah.
again, great depth in that.
In leadership, we talk a lot about leading people, because that's what leadership is. But we forget that the hardest person to lead is yourself. And if you are not well and you are not balanced and you are not taking care of the inner you can't lead someone else. Cut people bleed on everybody else. So we have to make sure that we are well. What are we doing when the cameras are off? What are we doing when the football game's over and and you're at home by yourself? What are you doing to build your core, your inner core? That's what makes you a great leader, because if you're balanced and you're okay, everybody else will be.
I like that. Cut people bleed on other people. That was tight right there, Dr. Payton. Cut people bleed on other people. And yeah. Ooh, that's a good one.
Yes.
You mentioned
If I show up at work mad and someone comes to me with a problem, they're gonna get the mad, they're gonna get Caterria, they ain't gonna get Dr. Payton. They're gonna get Caterria. And do they deserve Caterria? Absolutely not. And that's why we have to, I think you talk a lot about being self-aware. Know who you are, know your strengths and your limitations, and make sure you're not bleeding on other people.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And a couple other questions before we move to our final round. I heard you also mention two things in your last response. You talked about student level accountability, and you also mentioned the literacy movement.
Mhm.
And what how can we ensure that we get our students to take accountability within the literacy movement, especially with how social media is and how things are kind of just really just laid out already. You don't really have to do a lot of reading
Yes.
nowadays. You can go listen to it or watch the film. And even with adults, that's kind of the reason why I put out this digital course, this new digital course that I have, because I know people want to be able to listen to things, and a lot of times in the privacy of their own homes or what have you. So with that being stated, student level accountability within the literacy movement that we want to create. How can that happen? What does that look like?
Modeling before our students, because we all write, we all read, we all do things. How are we using the tools, the internet, AI? How are we using those tools without it taking away from our creativity and the things that we do? So modeling. For example, I use AI for letters of recommendation. Do I just say, here, write me a recommendation? No, I have to give the AI something in order for it to get me something. And then if once I read it, if it's not my voice, I have to change it into my voice. I have to fix it. So not telling the students that we can't use those tools, but you've got to be literate enough to be able to tweak it to make sure that it is what you need it to be. Because they're going to use the internet, they're going to use AI, they're going to use all the things. But how can they use it and not take away from their creativity?
Powerful, powerful, powerful. Definitely. How can they use it without taking from their creativity? That's a great way of looking at it. And if we're able to get them to see that, we can actually, I
Yes.
believe, allow them to use it and still see their greatness and allow their greatness to come out also.
But
Because
I
you know,
also think that we need to build a strong foundation of literacy before you allow those tools in the classroom. They're going to use them at home anyway. So we really
Mhm.
can't control that. But if you build a strong foundation of literacy from pre-K up before you start allowing the tools in the classroom for your secondary students, that you're more apt, you're more likely to receive the results that you're trying to receive.
Definitely, definitely. Wow, wow, wow.
Mhm.
All right. You have anything you want to add right now before we go to this next part?
I do not. I do not.
Okay, okay. All right, so what we have here is what I call the Big 11, and it's basically a quick fire questioning sequence. I use the Big 11 because I was number 11 in my college days when I
Of
was
course,
still
it's
running the
all about you.
basketball
All
court.
about you, Dr. Griffin. All about you.
On academic, you know, on academic and athletic scholarship. I got to make sure I add that because I don't want
Yeah.
them thinking I'm a jock. I'm an English major, guys. All right. But and the first three you answer, you don't want to keep going because you might go into the second part of
Okay,
the
sure.
question because it's a
Okay.
follow-up.
All right,
All
cut me
right.
off if you need to.
I won't cut you off. And you might have answered a little bit of this at the beginning, but
Okay.
what's your why?
My why currently is to make sure I am feeding my administrators and my teachers so they won't eat my kids. I'm
Why?
doing everything that I need to make sure that they are well so that they can show up as their best selves for my students.
Why?
You
Why?
said why?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Why? Because if they're not well, they can't. They can't. Again, cut people bleed on other people. So if I'm showing up not well, it's going to bleed on to them. And the same thing would happen to the students. And what our goal is to educate students, and we can't educate students with a bunch of stuff in the way. So it's my job as a leader to move as much of the stuff out of the way so that they can function.
One more why.
Okay. Uh, if they're able to function. This is hard. I don't even like this. If they are able to function, teachers and administrators will perform to their optimal potential, causing our students to be able to perform to their optimal potential.
Awesome, awesome. That's actually a professional development exercise that I use in some of my PDs, and we actually go to 5 whys.
Oh Lord, I'm so glad you
Because
stopped.
you get to that core
Yeah,
principle. So that's something you can definitely take
mhm,
away, because if I keep adding whys, I'm gonna get to that core principle,
that's right.
that
Mhm.
real core principle. All right, but what dream are you chasing?
The dream that I am chasing is for public education to get the accolades and the status that we deserve. Public educators are the means of all of our other careers, of everything that happens in our country. And I think for whatever reason, we have taken that away from educators. We made it a bad thing. And public education should not be a bad thing. So a dream of mine is to walk away when it's time for me to walk away with our teachers and our superintendents that come behind me with the status that they deserve.
All right. How are you initiating and investing in yourself?
I initiate and invest in myself. Number one, about with surrounding myself with people who not necessarily think and believe the way I do, but who are like-minded and wanting what I want for public education and for myself. Surrounding myself with people who won't necessarily always say yes, who doesn't matter, who don't mind getting into a war of words. I think you and I have done that several times on several occasions. Who don't mind getting in the a war of words if the ultimate outcome is the betterment of our students and teachers.
Definitely. What requires, how are you pushing past pain?
Pushing past pain is staying prayed up, taking time for myself and making sure that I am balanced and making sure that I am healthy. One of the things we talk about a lot is how people can't regulate emotions anymore. How you can't regulate emotions. So am I modeling regulating emotions? They got my Walmart order mixed up this this morning, and I was not happy. And when I got on the phone with them, the first thing I thought about is you tell people to regulate their emotions, you better regulate yours. So, uh, modeling, getting to my inner core, building that to know that I need to be strong inward so that I can glow outward, and just doing the work.
How are you persisting with purpose?
Persisting with purpose every single day. I wake up every single day with the purpose of making public education a better place. And persisting looks like showing up at schools. Persisting looks like being in my group chat with other superintendents. Persisting looks like making phone calls when I see something that sometimes has nothing to do with me, if I can make the situation better, to the State Department or to on the national level if I have to. So persistence looks like doing what I can from my seat to make public education a better place.
Definitely, definitely. A couple more. And that comes from our SEL program, 33 Principle SEL program. And it comes with dream with desire, initiate and invest in yourself, push past pain, and
Okay.
persist with purpose.
Okay.
All right. What's your biggest concern for students and educators?
My biggest concern for students and educators have nothing to do with education. It's society. Our society have
Mm,
gone. We're in a bad place right now. We're in a
yeah,
bad place where people can say or feel that they can say or do anything, and there's nothing that can happen. We're in a, I mean, the shootings that you mentioned earlier. It's an example of how people are not able to regulate emotions, and the first thing they're going to do is they're going to fight and they're going to, or shoot or whatever. So my biggest concern is what happens to our students outside of school, because we spend 8 to 9 hours with them a day, but then we have to send them back into their communities. So when I lose sleep at night, I'm losing sleep because what happens to my babies when they're not with me. And yes, they're my babies. All of them are still my babies. I met a 25-year-old student the other day at Lowe's, and he's like, I'm 25. I'm like, you're still my baby. Hush. So, but what happens to them when they're not in my arms?
all right. And what instructional practice lights your fire?
I started as literacy. My national board certification is in the area of literacy. So what lights my fire is literacy. And again, it sounds cliche, as strong readers are strong leaders. If they can read about it, they can write about it. They absolutely know it. If they can read about it, they write about it. They absolutely know it. The third step is speaking about it. That's good too, but we'll start with reading and writing.
Definitely. Wow, that's powerful. That actually completes the big 11, Dr. Payton. And I must say, you've been a wonderful guest today. You have dropped tons and tons of knowledge to our viewers. And I hope they go back and play it a few times and be able to pull some things out of it that they can use. What will be something, or what will be a key takeaway that you would leave our educators with for today? And of course, perhaps they might want to reach out or something like that. I definitely would like for you to leave some type of contact.
Sure. What I would say to educators today is stay the course. From superintendents, and I would even say the State Department and legislators, we believe in you. It may not always seem like it, and there's enough TikToks and other things out there to say that they don't appreciate you. Take your paid time off and all this kind of stuff. But we believe in you, and we know that you have the most important job that there is. So stay the course. Take time for yourself, know who you are, and get up every day and do what you were called to do and go home and sleep at night. So stay the course. Contact information, Caterria Payton. My name's on the screen, Caterria Payton at gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook, Caterria Payton. It's really easy to find me. I did recently download TikTok. I don't do any other social media. I do LinkedIn, but I don't do any other social media. I did recently download TikTok because I wanted to be able to open the videos that people send to me. That was the only reason.
All right.
But email or Facebook, and if the world has my cell phone number, 228-217-5645, if it has to do with children, teachers, administrators, schools, anywhere, I'm concerned. I may not have the answers, but I bet you any money I have a friend somewhere who does, and I can find that person.
That is awesome stuff. Definitely, I want to thank you again for blessing the platform with your presence. I definitely want to close out here. I'm gonna put you back, and then we're gonna just hold tight 1 second, Doc.
Sure, sounds good.
And definitely want to thank you all for joining today. I want to make sure we always recognize Breast Cancer Awareness Month during the month of October. As you know, I have some very close ties to this deadly disease. So as always, I want to make sure we recognize it, and want to keep going with our domestic violence awareness initiative as well. Also be aware of that, because it's a big thing that I frankly believe all type of violence lead to other types of violence. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we've had a lot of different violence. So not only domestically, but also other types of violence as well, with those shootings that took down quite a few celebrations across the weekend. So with that in mind, we just want to always mention that, always keep prayers going up for those victims, for those communities, for those people who have been affected. If for some reason you guys need to reach out, definitely continue to do so. Don't forget, we got a digital course, Dip Approach for Educators Success Manual, step-by-step implementation. This is not a course like any other courses that you've seen. I talk about implementations, you all. I don't just talk philosophy. Of course, I got a lot of philosophy with the Dip Approach, but within the digital course, we're talking about 40 step-by-step implementations that I walk through. It's definitely worth you looking at it. All right, it's definitely worth you giving it a chance. Also, a number of books. Make sure you reach out as well for professional development. All those things matter. And as always, we want you to continue to be your very, very best. Continue to learn, lead, and love with your heart. Continue to search for wisdom so that you can find and work in your true purpose. and continue to be courageous so that we can drown out all fear in your educational communities and your lives. And to all, a great, great day.